Welcome to Right on the Money, the weekly talk show with interviews you can use to help you maximize your money and optimize your financial future. Before moving forward with any of the ideas discussed on the show, always consult your financial advisor, insurance professional, or tax consultant. Looking for financial help or a second opinion? We can help you in your search. And now, your host of Right on the Money, syndicated financial columnist and money-colored commentator, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone to our series on the home equity conversion mortgage with popular platform speaker, author, and adjunct professor at the American College, Don Graves. Welcome to Right on the Money, Don.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be here.
Don, we're going to spend the entire show talking about, I think, a little known. I mean, people kind of know about reverse mortgages. We saw Senator, Thomas. We've seen the Fonz out there pushing it. But we're going to get into it and dive deep. This could be a game changer. Most of you that have been watching our show, you know I have about 10,000 Twitter followers that are consumers that watch our show. This could change your retirement. After 2008's debacle and trying to carve back to par, which has been difficult. We had a bad August in 2015. We opened the year 1,000 points down on the Dow the very first week. We're kind of clawing back. But so many people have suffered and said, man, we've lost serious equity positions in our home. Or we've lost serious equity positions on our retirement. We're going to bring some ideas and strategies this week that I promise you, and I don't like to use superlatives on the show, but it's going to be a game changer. And for some of you, even a godsend. Now, Don, you are an authority. You're one of the nation's leading authority on HECM, this home equity conversion mortgage program. And it's a government program. Why don't you walk me through some of the basic introduction? Let's introduce our people into this. How did this start? How did we begin? Give us a good idea, kind of foundation to what to think about.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. The reverse mortgage has been around since 1988, 30 years almost. And it started with the idea, what do retirees do who may not have quite enough to last all of their retirement? And I don't have to tell you, that's really become a concern over the last 30 years. You've seen the commercials. How long will you live in retirement? How long will your money last? So the idea was, can we use the home's equity, tap into it without having to make a monthly payment? Because in times past, in your home, if you wanted to get money out of it, you either had to sell and move, or you had to take out a mortgage and make monthly payments. So the reverse mortgage was a way for retirees aged 62 years over to convert a portion of their home's value, turn it into tax-free money, and to implement that into a comprehensive financial strategy.
Okay, so in my traditional thinking of this kind of introduction, the government's involved. Anyway, any strategy we're going to talk about throughout this entire broadcast is going to be bringing up these ideas. This is all government and FHA guaranteed. I guess is that the phrase? Can I actually use that phrase? Is it a HUD issue or an FHA?
Well, the program, it's HUD's program, so it's FHA insured. It started as a private program in 1961, so it's been around for a long time. And so HUD began insuring the program under FHA in 1988. So I think that's fair to say.
Well, give me some of the three big misconceptions about, I mean, I've heard some nightmares out there. So give me some of the three big, what do you call the big myths?
Yeah, you want to spoil a good barbecue, get 10 people around the table and let Aunt Millie say, I'm thinking about a reverse mortgage. And watch what happens. 3 people will run, 2 will go get some corn, 5 will jump up and down, and it could just turn it, and we've all experienced that, but oftentimes, it's based off of misconceptions. Let's take Mrs. Montini, one of my clients. She's 75 years of age. She had a $200,000 home, and she had a mortgage on that property of $100,000. Now, that was manageable until her husband died. When he died, the Social Security gets shuffled, and his pension, the way he chose it, it died with him. Now she's got a huge payment, and she can't afford to continue to make it, but she wants to stay in the home. She doesn't want to ask her children, and she doesn't want to pull from savings. What is Mrs. Montini to do? Well, that's simple. She said, I'm going to use the home equity conversion mortgage or reverse mortgage. It made a portion of her home's value available. Remember, her home was worth $200,000.
Can I stop you there, Don?
Yes, please.
But you said she had a mortgage.
That's correct.
Okay, so maybe one of the misconceptions of yours truly is you could have a mortgage and she still could use some of the equity in her position, right?
Sure. The number 2 way people use a reverse mortgage is to pay off an existing mortgage. See, to have a mortgage payment, and I think you'll agree, do you want to have a mortgage payment at age 65, 70, 75, 80? No. Most people are shaking their heads, no way.
No.
And particularly if you're married and your spouse dies. And listen, 3 out of 3 die, Steve, so it's going to happen. And what position do you want to leave your spouse in? So back to Mrs. Montini. And so her spouse left her in a position they didn't know, that they weren't aware. So the reverse mortgage will make money available to them based off of her age, the value of the home, and the current interest rate. It's a triangle. Her age, value of the home, and the current interest rate. So in her case, it made available around $130,000 because she was a little older. She had a mortgage on her property, remember, of $100,000. So the first thing the reverse mortgage did was paid off her existing mortgage of $100,000. That did 3 things for our client. Number 1, she is paying out $1,000 a month. So now she keeps that money. Ask yourself this question. What would life be like if you didn't have to make a monthly mortgage payment? And this is important, Steve, because 68% of baby boomers coming into retirement are going to have a monthly mortgage payment. It's huge. So just ask yourself that question. And I see you nodding your head and wiping away a tear. You're saying that would be great. Well, Mrs. Montini said, I've got $1,000 in my pocket. And because I didn't use all of my reverse mortgage, I've got $30,000 left over. And she's got a smile on her face. So the 3 most common misconceptions for a reverse mortgage. Let me put it this way. What is a reverse mortgage? Number 1, it's just a mortgage. Most of us know what a mortgage is. You went to the bank, you qualified, you got the money, you made payments, and it ended. It's just a mortgage, except you don't have to make a monthly payment. You have to be age 62 to get it, and it's got a non-recourse feature. That means if you live to be 150 and you owe me this big amount of money, but your home was only worth this much, we can't come after anything but the house.
Whoa, I love that. I mean, it's, if I become the Guinness Book of World Records, Jean Clement lived 122 years, 164 days, and they're not coming for you.
No.
Wow.
You'll never be required to repay more than the home was worth. So number 1, it's just a mortgage. It's not spooky. When I was growing up in the theme park, there was Spooky Land, and there'd be the haunted house, and people say, oh, that reverse mortgage, that's Spooky Land. It's not. It's just a mortgage, but way more flexible. Number 2, it's designed to help the client. And now, why do you say that, Don? Because a lot of folk who don't have any concern or right have a lot of input. Oh, Mabel, don't do that. Or Bob, I wouldn't do that. Well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, see, they're not the client. They don't know the situation. They don't know Mrs. Montini's situation. And so a lot of times when people hear these misconceptions, it's based off of a story they may not be familiar with. Here's one that's common. That reverse mortgage is the loan where they loan you the money, and when you die, they take the house. Well, that's not true. That's not true. And that's the third point. It's just a mortgage. It's designed for the client. And listen to this. 100% of any remaining equity passes on to the heirs or the estate. 100%. So what does that mean? In the case of Mrs. Montini, who we started with, she had a $200,000 home. She got a reverse mortgage. I paid off her existing mortgage. Now she has no mortgage payment, but she still has a loan balance of $100,000. Since she's not making a payment, Steve, that's going to grow year by year. So now let's go out 10, 15 years later, and she owes me $200,000, and she dies. Well, what happened? Over that 10, 15 years, her house should be worth more than it is today. It may not be, but it should be. So now she's got a house that's worth $300,000. She owes me $200,000. Typically, the children will sell the home. $300 pays off $200, and what's left? That's right, $100,000. Who does that go to? That passes on to the heirs or the estate, or if she's still alive, it passes on to her. And so we don't get the house. We don't sell the house. It's for the mother. It's just a mortgage. And once you get past that, the light comes on and you say, wait a minute. Then there are about 30, 40 things I can use this with to make my retirement better. So you've got to live with your retirement, right? That's your retirement. It's not the children's. But we're going to do for them, and you'll learn strategies, but it's just your retirement. How do you have the best retirement you can possibly have? Maybe it's a reverse mortgage.
Well, remember, if you're listening to our show on radio, iTunes, or podcast, you can view the video version online at rightonthemoneyshow.com and request information from this segment. In our second segment, we're going to be talking about one of the most popular planning strategies in the home equity conversion mortgage, a reverse mortgage with Don Grave. We'll be right back right after the break.
For more information on this week's money topics, just go to our website at www.rightonthemoneyshow.com and follow Steve's daily postings on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. When it comes to retirement, money management, small business, insurance coverage, college funding, or budgeting, we have the interviews you can use.